Greetings from Australia. Welcome back to our channel. My name is Ruth and I am an Australian legal practitioner based in Australia, and my passion is to help my clients obtain residency or citizenship here in Australia. Well, in today's video, I would like to share with you 7 things you must know for business migration or investor migration to Australia. Now, please do not treat the contents of this video as legal or migration advice because we assess each case on a case-by-case basis. However, I trust that the contents of this video will be of assistance to you. Well, so let's get started. What are the 7 things you must know for business migration in Australia? Well, the first thing is you need to know the type of visa and their requirements. For example, we have provisional visas for business owners. We have provisional visas for investors. We also have permanent visas for business owners and investors. Some of these provisional visas, they usually have a pathway toward permanent migration in the future. So immigration will generally expect that the applicants have some sort of investment or business from your home country, and that you've been running that business or investment fairly successfully, and that you will be required to show your intention when you come to Australia. For example, if you want to set up a business, if you want to invest, and so on and so forth. And if you carry out the promises that you have made to the Australian immigration or to the nominating state, then there will be a pathway for permanent residency if you're looking at the provisional visas option. So obviously for provisional visas, the requirements are a little bit lesser, and the business turnover assets will generally be a little bit lesser than the permanent ones. The permanent ones usually will require to turn over a significant amount of money, and also showing that you have got significant assets as well. So knowing the type of visa and their requirements, very, very important. So that's the first thing you must know. Secondly, you will also need to know your business, whether you've turned over X amount of money, know your business as in know how much assets you've got, etc. Because if you know the current state of your business and how it's been doing in the last couple of years, you can then compare where you are and see if you can fit into one of the visa categories. So knowing your business is really important, and comparing that to the different eligibility requirement for the different visas. Very, very important. So that's step 2, know your business and know if you meet the eligibility requirement. Number 3, in some cases, there may also be English requirement. You may be requested to undergo English test. However, in some circumstances, you may also be exempted. In some situations, you may be exempted if you choose to pay what we call the second VAC, which is like a second installment that you pay the Australian immigration to be exempted from English requirement. So that really depends on the type of visa and the circumstances of your case. Number 4. In certain types of visas, you will be requested to meet the points test system. At this point, the points that you must meet is a minimum of 65 points. For example, the business provisional visa or the investor visa under subclass 188. So these 2 visas actually require that you meet the points test, whereas some of the other, for example, venture capital visa subclass 132 or significant business history visa, these will not require you to undergo points tests. So points are generally allocated for things like your age, your qualification, your skill, your business experience, turnover, financial assets, etc. And as long as you meet the points test requirement, then you can submit an expression of interest, which leads me to my next point. So the 5th thing you must know is that for business visas, you will require state or territory nomination. Now, if you're not familiar about Australia, so Australia, we are governed by federal law when it comes to immigration. So what that means is the federal will have the power to determine who gets to come into the border to Australia. But for business visa, there is actually an arrangement between the federal government and the state government, whereby the state will have to actually approve or sponsor, or the right term is nominate. So they'll need to nominate your US applicant for a business visa or investor visa. For that reason, it is really important that you understand that each of the states and territory government they all have different requirements. So you want to check which each of the different state and territory to see if you meet their requirement. I always say to my client, well, have a think of which state you want to live in. Would it be New South Wales? Would it be Queensland or Western Australia or Victoria? And then from there, find out what the requirements are for the state government to nominate you on a business visa. Some states will have higher requirements, some states will have a lower requirement. So it really depends on whether you meet the requirements. Now, the state government will also generally expect that you provide a business plan to tell them as to what you plan to do upon approval of your visa. And so it's really important that you are able to link your experience to the business plan, and also to show that what you intend to do will benefit Australia, and that there's a need to establish the business in Australia. I won't go into details today because I intend to keep this video short, but if you are looking at taking that next step and you need some help, just drop us an email on the email address below, and we would be happy to assist. So that's the fifth thing you must know for business migration. Well, the sixth thing is this: once you have submitted an expression of interest, the state government will invite you to apply. Ensure that you comply with the time frame. So important, because if you do not apply to the state government within a specified amount of time frame, then that means you have to restart the process all over again. And it will also mean that if you don't have an approved nomination, you don't get your visa from immigration. So ensure that you know the requirements, ensure that you've got all your documents ready. As much as possible, if you can, use an immigration lawyer like myself, or an immigration agent who is trustworthy, because some of the documents can be fairly complicated. And finally, the seventh thing you must know for business migration is, once the state government approves of their nomination of you, they will actually contact the federal government. So this is immigration, or today it's called the Department of Home Affairs, Australia. So once you're invited by Home Affairs to apply, again, you need to ensure that you comply with the time frame and that you apply for the visa within the requested time frame. And after the visa is granted, ensure that you meet the requirements of the visa. If you're expected to start a business in Australia before you can get permanent residency, ensure that you follow through. Otherwise, you can lose the visa. Alternately, if it is permanent visa, immigration also has the power to actually monitor to see if you comply, to see if you carried out what you said you were going to do. For example, if you said, I'm going to invest X number of millions of dollars in this project, immigration can actually monitor. And if you do not meet, if you do not keep your word, then there is a power of cancellation. So immigration can cancel the visa, even if it's a permanent visa. So you need to make sure that you comply with the conditions of your visa. So I hope that today's video is helpful in regard to business and investor migration. And once again, if you require further advice or assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us on that email address below, and we would be happy to assist. But otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and we wish you the very best in your future endeavors for Australian migration. Thank you.